In the previous tutorial video, we created one class called a simple outputs.java. Okay, so now this, if you double click on that, so the class name is called simple outputs. I want to show you the correspondence on your file system. If you go to the desktop and then go to the folder for your workspace, go under lab 0 part 1, which is the project, go under source. You can see there is a corresponding file for simple outputs.java, okay, with the Java extension. Of course, it's just a normal file. It's just that it has the extension of Java so that it can be recognized by Eclipse. So now I want to show you a very useful feature in Eclipse. What if I want to change the name for the Java class? Okay, a very common mistake is you simply just go here, and then let's say I want to change to a simple console outputs.java. Okay, if I simply just go here, console outputs.java. If I do that, okay, so that means I only changed the file name, but I haven't really changed the class name yet in the file itself. Okay, so now if I go back here, okay, you can see somehow things have been messed up because you can see now the class name is gone. So that's not good. Okay, so I would say never ever try to change the file name directly for your Java class. You want to do it by using the facilities provided to you in Eclipse. But how do we do that? Okay, first of all, let me undo the chaos. Okay, if I simply change it back, okay, I'll simply change it back to simple outputs.java. Okay, let's do that. Hopefully it will come back. Okay, so I may have to refresh. Okay, if you right click on the projects, and then I'll simply say refresh. Okay, so now the file is back. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, so now if you expand it, so now you will see simple outputs.java. Okay, double click on that. So now how can I rename the classes? To rename each class, so there are two steps you would like the Eclipse to perform for you. Number one, you wanted to change the class name over here, and number two, you wanted to really also change the file name as well. Let's do it by Eclipse. So the easiest way for you to do it is to say right click on the class, and then you will go for refactor and then go for rename. If you click on that, and then it's going to ask you what should be the new name. Okay, I can say simple console outputs. Okay, and then I can say finish. That's the easiest way. And then you can just say finish over here. It's guaranteed to work. Okay, after this, you can see that now the class name has been changed to simple console outputs over here. Okay, at the same time, you can see that this file name has been changed as well. Okay, so it's always recommended you do the renaming for your classes, and later on we'll show how you can do renaming for methods. Any renaming should be done by using the Eclipse facility rather than just by manually doing it, okay, which is error prone. Okay, so that's done. So now let's focus on something else. Okay, so we're going to create, basically throughout the tutorial series, we're going to create many classes, and each one of them will have a main method, so you can execute different programs. Okay, that's kind of the idea. Okay, if you have doubts about how the main method can be the entry point of execution, you can refer to the previous video. Okay, so now let's do something about numbers. Okay, so what I want to do is right click on the source and say new class. Okay, let's create something new. Okay, remember the naming convention for Java. For compound word, every word has to be capitalized. Okay, so let's say numerical expression. Okay, so so here the numbers can either be an integer or it can be a fractional number with a decimal point. Okay, we talk about these two numbers. Okay, numerical expressions. Okay, and then don't forget to put the main method here so you don't have to type it out. Okay, again we can say, okay, make sure you click on this box here, and then we can say finish. Okay, let me just close the previous simple console outputs just to avoid confusion. So now we got two classes in your project. Okay, under the projects for lab 0 part 1. Okay, so now for the main method, what should we do? Okay, basically we still focus on the print statements for the outputs only. We'll talk about inputs a little bit later. Okay, so now what kind of so now I want to talk about numbers. Okay, basically here is a concept for you. Okay, so what kind of what kind of numerical expressions can we do? The easiest way to think of it is whatever you can do in simple math, you can do it. Okay, so now I want to review very quickly with you. In math, what kind of basic operation can you do? Okay, think about it. You can do addition, you can do subtraction, you can do multiplication, you can do also division over here, you can get the quotients, and you can also get a remainder. Okay, so these are the basic operation you can perform on numbers, okay? Either integer or fractional numbers, okay? So now, what about Java? They do have all the correspondence, but you have to pay more attention about quotients and remainder, okay? Which I will illustrate to you, okay? So now, what about Java? For Java, you have the following correspondence, okay? So now, fortunately, most of the symbols are the same, okay? But you have to remember some, okay? Plus is the same, minus is the same, but for multiply, you have to say a star, okay? For division, it's really the same, okay? And now to really get the quotients, I would say it's still really a / for divide. But now I want you to make a note, okay? It must be strictly integer divided by integer in order for you to get the quotient. I will illustrate this to you. All you gotta remember is this, okay? Whenever you do the / okay, that means divide. However, in order for you to get a quotient, you always have to make sure the left-hand side is an integer without the decimal point. And also the right-hand side must be an integer as well without the decimal point. Okay, let's remember that. Okay, now, what if one of the operands over here has a decimal point? In which case, doing a / will give you some decimal point as a result. Okay, I will illustrate that. Okay. So now what about remainder? For the remainder over here, so this is a very special symbol you have to remember. Okay, it's the percentage sign. Okay, and also in mathematics, we also call it the modulo operation. The modulo operation. Okay, so now, for example, you can say that if I say 7 modulo 3, okay, versus 7 divided by 3. Let's work it out, okay? In this particular expression over here, because both sides are integers without any decimal point, that means it's going to give us the quotients. What should be the quotient of this? Well, 7 divided by 3 should be 2, right? So this will be the result. We'll verify this on Eclipse, okay? And then, what about the modulo over here to get a remainder? Well, it's simply just 1. So it shouldn't be too surprising to you if I write the following property for you. Okay, what about this? Okay, if I say over here 7 divided by 3, which will be the quotients, multiply by the dividend. Oh, the divisor. Sorry, the divisor over here, plus, and also 7 modulo 3. Think about what this expression will give to you. Think about it for a moment. It should really give to you 7. Don't you agree? Okay, nothing about Java. This is only math. Okay, so now again, let's be very careful over here, because both integers here for the divide. So this is going to give you the quotients. And this is the divisor over here. 3 times 2 will give you 6. And then modulo over here is going to give you the remainder by dividing 7 by 3. In which case, they'll give you 1. So 6 plus 1 will give you 7. Okay, so you can see that the simple arithmetic that actually used to work in your math class, now it can be programmed in Java. So it's pretty much handy. Okay, so now let's illustrate this quickly. Okay, so now what I want to do is, let me use different numbers. Okay, you can see the idea. Okay, so now what I want to do is this. System.out dot print line. Okay, and now I can say, first of all, let me use, rather than 3 and 7, let's use maybe 15 and 4. No, actually, what about 15? Yeah, 15 and 4 would be good. What about 15 plus 4? Okay, so now let me make some comments so we wouldn't lose track. Okay, over here I can say 15 plus 4. Okay, and then also we can say another one. What about 15 minus 4? Okay, you can see that over here, this is only the comments. Okay, it's not going to be executed by the computer, but this is the print statement that we talk about. Okay, so this is a comment that is not executed by the computer. Okay, but this will be. Okay, and then I can also say system.out.print line, and then I'll say 15 minus 4. Okay, what about 15 multiplied by 4? Okay, so now I'll put multiply over here. Okay, it's a star. Okay, you can see everything works just up to now. There's no red underline, there's no red cross. That means everything compiles without any errors. And then what about we do some quotients over here? 15 divided by 4. Okay, so 15 divided by 4, and now you can see that because this is an integer without any fractional part, this is also an integer. Okay, so now you can say because both are integers, we will get the quotients. Okay, what should it be? For example, what do we expect to see? We should expect to see 3, right? Hopefully you can see why. And what do we expect to see over here? We expect to see 60, right? We'll verify that by computer in just a moment. And then this will be 11, and this will be 19, right? Okay, so now let's do remainder as well. What about 15 modulo 4? Okay, so now this will be the remainder. Okay, in that case, system.out.print line 15 modulo 4. So this will give us, well, is the quotient will be 3. 4 times 3 will be 12. 15 minus 12 will give us also 3. Okay, in this case, the quotient and the remainder happens to be the same. Okay, but don't get confused. I can just do one more example for you for the remainder. Okay, so they are different. Okay, what about here? Okay, let me just do one more example here for the quotients and remainder. Okay, so you don't really, oops. Okay, let me fix the indentation over here. You always want to indent your lines so that it's readable, okay, by you also. So what about we do, what about 15 modulo, what about 2? Okay, or we can do, yeah, actually, yeah, 2 will be fine. Yeah, I can even do 2 is not very exciting. What about we say 4, and then here we say 23. Okay, that'll be good. What about 23 over here? Okay, so now what should be the quotients? So 23, and make sure you change this as well. Okay, 23 divided by 4 will give you 5 as a quotient, right? And also 23 modulo 4 will give you, because 4 times the quotient, which is 5, is 20. 23 minus 20 will be 3. Okay, so 5 versus 3, they are different. Okay, that's what we expect to see. Okay, finally, I want to really program this particular condition for you. Okay, like this complex condition, you can definitely do that, not a problem. Okay, for example, in the case where I simply say the divisor multiplied by the quotients, okay, plus the remainder. 23 modulo 4 is going to be equal to the dividend, right? That's what we expect to see. Okay, so now we can say system.out.print line, and then we can say 23. Okay, let me just copy exactly this line over here and see what it is. So one thing I want you to note, okay, if you compare what we did previously for the simple console outputs over here, since we are trying to print some words or lines into the console, so this is something called strings, which we'll talk about in the next video. If you want to simply put something verbatim to the console output, you have to put double quotes over here. Okay, double quotes over here. If you want to do some calculation using numbers, you don't have to use the quotes. Okay, that's something. So which means if you simply try something like this, if I simply say system.out dot print line, if I simply say 1 plus 1, okay. Oh, actually, this is a good example. Okay, because plus has another meaning. But if I try this, you can see if I say 1 plus 1 multiplied by 1, this is not valid because there's no actually multiplication that's defined on the two strings over here. Okay, and so this will okay, this is not correct. Okay, hopefully you can see that. And one more example over here. What about if I simply say system.out dot print line over here, if I say 1 plus 1. Okay, if you look at this, what should be the output over here? Should it be simply just 2? I'm talking about the output just from this line particularly. Okay, would the output from this line be 2, or it would be simply just 1 plus 1? Okay, before I will definitely just make a note. Okay, I want you to compare. So this one versus if I simply say 1 plus 1. Both actually will compile. Both have no errors. You can see that this one here with no quote is going to perform the calculation 1 plus 1, which is 2. It's going to output 2 to the console. This one here is going to put 1 plus 1 verbatim into the console. Okay, so these are the outputs that we can expect to see. You can see it's going to be this one executed first. Remember, top to bottom, line by line. So this line here first, and then this line here, 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 and etc. until the last line. Okay, let's verify the output very quickly, and then we're gonna discuss the limitation of only working with numbers. Okay, so now one thing to note, you can see that we're already getting quite many lines over here. It's quite easy for us to lose track. And now I want to show you how it can become even worse when we see the console outputs. It can be even easier. Okay, so let me just put more documentation over here. So now the output should be 1 plus 1. Okay, and now the output should be simply just 2. Okay, so these are the differences. And now what should be the output from here? We expect to see 23. Okay, so now I want to actually execute this program over here. If you move your mouse over the play button here, you can see that over here it still shows simple console outputs, which is over the previous one, right? Which is from the previous tutorial video. If you want to execute this right now, you have to at least for the first time run it as Java application, so it will be remembered by Eclipse. Okay, something to remember. Okay, so now I'll close that. And now this will be the first time we run this as Java application. So right click on this and say run as Java application. And then execute it. Okay, let's see this. Let's see exactly how we can understand this output over here. So now 19 is produced by the very first line. Okay, and 11, the second line, is produced by the second print statement over here. And 60 is produced by the third print statements. And we got 3 here, which is produced by calculating 15 divided by 4, which will give us the quotient. Okay, and also this 3 over here is going to be the remainder for 15 modulo 4. Okay, you can see that we got 3 here and 3 here just from the output over here. It's not very meaningful, is it? It's not very easy for us to tell where does the first 3 come from and where does the second 3 come from. You have to actually go back to your source code over here and look at the comments. So we can really improve this if we can somehow mix the string and numbers together to the output. Okay, that's something I will show you in the next video. Let's keep that in mind. Okay, what about this 5 over here? The 5 here comes from this particular print statement, just the next print statement, which will be 23 divided by 4. And also we got 3 here, which will be 23 modulo 4. Okay, that's also makes sense. Okay, so now this is 23, the original number, which is exactly how we calculate for this particular expression over here, right? So we are verifying just one line by line. Okay, and now finally, this is also important for you to notice. You have to really have a sharp eyes, pay very attention to every detail. Okay, so now over here you can see that the second last output line here comes from the second last print statement over here, which is going to print out 1 plus 1 verbatim over here, right? On the other hand, the last print statement over here, 1 plus 1, is going to generate exactly the calculation result, which is 2. Okay, hopefully you follow so far. Let me do one more thing. Okay, so when I talk about calculation, the only thing I haven't talked about is how what about the case where for the division, what if one of the operands, okay? So you can see over here, let me just put it aside. So if I have a division over here, okay, if I got integer divided by integer, I just get a quotient, no question about it, okay? What about I got, for example, I have 5.0 divided by 2. You can see that 5.0 is not an integer, is it? Because it has a fractional part. Or I can have 5.2, right? It also has a fractional part. As soon as either side of the division has a fractional part, also you can have, for example, 5 divided by 2.0, okay? And also 5 divided by 2.5. Okay, so when you got either side or both sides, you can also got 5.2 divided by 2.0, right? As long as it's not the case that both sides are integers, you're going to get a slightly different result. You're going to get a result with precision as well. Okay, in this case over here, it's going to give you, if you got 5 divided by 2, what would you get? You will simply get 2 for the quotient, right? But now you will get 2.5 over here for this, okay, with precision, which makes mathematical sense for sure. And what about over here? That's also going to be 2.5. Okay, what about over here? It's going to be 2.0. Okay, and for over here, it's going to be 2.6. Okay, let's verify this. So the principle is very easy. All you gotta, every time you see a divide over here, you want to look at what's the type of numbers on both sides. If both are integers, you will get a quotient. Okay, if any side actually got some dots, like decimal points, integer dot something, is like a fractional numbers, in which case it's going to give you some precise result. Okay, that's something you want to keep in mind. Okay, let's try just a few of them. Okay, so now what I will do is I'm gonna expand this further. Okay, so now I can say, so now what about 5.2 divided by 2? Okay, I want to do also 5 divided by 2.5. Okay, let me just try these two, and it will be a little bit exercise for you to try out all these examples by yourself and verify the output on the console. Okay, let me try these two for you. And now I can do system.out.println, and then I can say 5.2 divided by 2. Okay, pretty much like a writing math. Okay, now what do we expect to see? We do expect to see 2.6, right? And now what about another one? Okay, I want to do 5 divided by 2.5 over here. Okay, so now what should I do? And now here actually, sorry, that should be 2.0, right? If you see the math, it's going to be 2.0. So now let's verify that. So now since I already executed this class for the very first time, so it's now remembered. So now I can just click on the play button here, and then you can see that over here, the last two output lines comes from the last two print statement over here. You know, you can see this one here produces the output for 2.6. And this print line here produces the output for 2.0. Okay, hopefully you get a basic sense about how to manipulate the numbers. So far we only talk about you write the numbers out directly. Okay, let me just mention one more term for you. Okay, so if you try to write out numbers like a 2, you have 3, you got 4.6, you got 7, right? You write out the numbers directly. Okay, it's called number literals. Okay, literals, which means you just write it directly. Okay. However, later on we're going to learn about variables, which means you can store the values for the literals somewhere so that you can reuse that particular variable for different purposes. Okay, that's something we'll talk about later. Okay, just make sure you review about the basic operation for the numbers. You got addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, which can be either quotients or precise result, depending on the types of the integers on the both sides, and also remainder. Okay, make sure you understand these before you move on to the next video.